Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and I'm realizing I got bit by a bug when I was outside earlier. Man, I'm like scratching my leg. I'm like,
that's the scintillating conversation you're going to get here tonight, folks.
Folks, I'm going to
get better.
I am like a dog with squirrels. Like, what? Ow, itch, ow. With me, my one.
It'll be better. We promise it's going to get better.
My itch will get better, Michael. You're going to kiss
it's
my
It's going to get better. It's all going to get better. Well, as you notice, no guest tonight. I'm Bad Mike, by the way. Did you introduce me? I don't know if you did or not.
Yeah, you
introduced. If you've never seen our show before,
everybody talk amongst yourselves. We'll get to you.
So, everybody wants to keep pushing their appearances back. I talked about people like, yeah, I can't go on this week or whatever. So the next few weeks coming up, we've got Ben Burns, who has a Kickstarter. We've got Tom Wilson, who's going to be talking about SharkCon. We hopefully have Crystal Missouri sometime in September. She's at Gen Con this week. Most people are at Gen Con this week, and they're all doing Gen Con stuff. So, and then I've got a guy named
this is
Brian Tinwell, who works for CBCS grading services, is going to come on. I brought some game stuff in to get graded. We're going to talk about the whole process because I think it's a fascinating subject. It's kind of like our subject tonight. It's one of those things that there's an inevitable march towards grading collectibles and putting them in slabs, and people are griping and bitching and moaning, and they're not going to do much about it. And I think our tonight's pretty much topic is going to be about the same thing, about something that's inevitable that we're marching towards, that people are going to gripe and bitch and moan about, but it's just going to happen no matter what you say.
It's been in the news, and then there's the unspoken news that people aren't really talking about. We'll get into that related to it. By the way, Bob, yes, Gen Con, by the way, where I've seen multiple reports of people who were notified last minute. Oh, there was a glitch in the registration, and you don't have a room, but don't worry. We're gonna comp you a night and put you up in a hotel 25 miles away. So the money that you're saving on that room will maybe cover your Uber for 1 or 2 nights.
He whiz. Yeah, because you can park nearby, which last time I went, Eric, it was $50 a day. What do you think it is now 10 years later?
Oh,
it was $50 a day back then, about 15 years ago.
Yeah. It's
got to be $100 a day to park there now. So
and listen, since we're talking about conventions, and I don't want anybody to say that we're not even-handed. Mike, did you see the complaints about GaryCon?
Well, I know some things about this and that, but why don't you say what you're going to say, and then I'll say if I.
All right.
If I need to fill
there were complaints that when people were trying to register for their gold badges, and I always went as a vendor on the Frog God team, and Rachel and I never worried about getting badges. Who needs badges? These dumb stinking badges.
You don't need no stinking badges to.
No stinking badges. But apparently, and also I never really played in games. I just ran.
No, we ran games one year. We ran what did we run? We ran the
Mouth of Doom and
Mouth of Doom, Source Wizardry Light.
Yeah.
That's really it. I mean, I really never played games. I got roped into playing in a tournament game with Rocky and those jokers because I guess I can say it now. Statute of Limitations is up. The original person who was in the tournament couldn't make it, and so I was a ringer. I stepped in as him so they wouldn't lose their spot in the tournament. So I became Randall Jones, whoever, because the guy doesn't know who you are. I just took my name down. I hope we don't get in trouble now. The statute of limitations has been up for, I'm sure.
Turn your badge around so nobody knows.
But we didn't really register for games. We would just work at the booth, so we didn't really need that.
So I didn't need a gold badge or a silver badge or an adamantium badge or whatever the fuck they are. So apparently it's important to get your gold badge if you want to play in the game you want to play in.
You got to get there's diamond, there's gold, there's silver. You're not going to get anything you want. So
silver, you're like a commoner.
Yeah, diamond you'll get your stuff. Gold, you'll get some stuff. Silver, you can't get anything. you're going to be fighting with the dregs to get the.
You'd be like, oh, look, there's a Fate game available.
Oh,
I
look,
guess I'm paying.
Bad Mike and Eric are running a game. Great, that one's wide open.
Jeez, it's just going to be like the live stream. Oh my God, the back and forth.
Bad Mike and Eric's seminar on.
Oh, we could do a
bad
seminar.
Kickstarters is hey, we should do some.
We really could, Mike.
We might drag them in. You never know.
Yeah, it's not a joke. Trust me, not a joke.
Cursing, cursing would definitely happen too, which would be awesome.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
We'd be cursing during our seminar. 18 and up, folks. Sorry.
Yes, please sign a parental slip signed by your parent.
So what's going on with the gold badge?
There's been and this is what I find amusing. All right, there are the people that didn't get their gold badges, or they were signing up for themselves and a spouse, or themselves and a child, and was only able to secure one gold badge. And if you only have one, you got none. If you're looking for two and you've got one, you've got none. And the reason why is because a questionnaire popped up during the registration process that you had to finish. Now, admittedly, there was apparently a small area you could just say skip. You couldn't decline the questionnaire, but you could skip each section, which apparently what the people who got their gold badges did. And what I found amusing, and I find this amusing, I'm not going to the con. That's not a big deal for me. But what I find amusing is that those that got their gold badges are like, I don't know what the problem is. I got my gold badge. I don't see any issues with it. Yeah, it's not my fault you weren't fast enough. And the people who didn't get their gold badges,
people are very self-centered when it comes to stuff like that. Like I didn't have any problem at all. I don't know what problem you guys had. Look, show a little compassion, folks. It's tough. It's always been tough to get badges for Gary Con, and there's always been mess ups. I don't want to bag on Luke too much, but there's been issues for years. Garrick and I have heard about them. We know people that have had to deal with them for years, and they're different. Sometimes they're different. A lot of times they're because of, the software is not, just all kinds of reasons. It's not any one reason ever.
No.
There's been room issues before, people, one of my good friends from UK had a room canceled, and she had a room in the lodge. Said, well, we'll put you up in town. Well, Eric and I, we know how that works. You got to get a ride every day. You got to get a ride in and a ride back. The reason you want to be at the lodge is because you're there where the action is, and you walk down the hall and there it is. You don't want to be in town. You could, if you want to plan it that way, fine, but not if you pay for a room at the lodge. You don't want to be in town.
Right. You're paying for a room at the lodge because you want the opportunity to hang out after your games, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't want to have to. If you're not staying at the lodge, you better have a car. Yeah. And if you're staying at the lodge, you better have a car.
A car or a ride, a very reliable ride.
Very reliable ride. I went my first year, maybe my first 2 years, on Uber, and Uber gets you there without a problem because there's always the Ubers at the airport. But an Uber in Lake Geneva to take you back to the airport, you will.
Awesome.
You better be looking to get an Uber 6 hours before your flight leaves. Just to give yourself.
Oh God, yeah, because you're dealing with a small town, folks, and if everybody calls in for Uber at the same time, guess what? You better start either jumping in somebody else's Uber and going at the same time they are, or you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah. So last time Rachel and I went, we rented a car.
That's why I drive. I don't have to deal with that.
I understand that, Mike.
It's not close to the airport. At least Madison. Madison's a little closer. When you go into
Madison's a lot closer. Madison, you get the hotel shuttle.
And not only that, there's an airport in Madison if you want to fly in Madison. But most people fly. Yeah. My wife, when she flew in a while back, she flew in to Milwaukee, but that's not a long drive from Madison. Now, so Lake Geneva, so Madison and Milwaukee are right kind of here in the middle of the state. Lake Geneva is way down here. It's closer to Chicago, probably.
Yeah.
Than Madison. It's way south. So you're talking quite a drive from either the Milwaukee airport or any of those other airports around there. And now a lot of people fly into Chicago and they rent a car and drive up because it's actually probably just as good to drive into Chicago as it is to Milwaukee.
See, Don will be driving.
Well,
Good.
we
And he
better
has a
start
room at
pretty
the
soon,
venue.
Don. It's Wednesday night, Don.
Yes.
You got to
And
get
he has a room at
rolling.
the venue. So that means that, listen, you can partake in adult beverages, which it is Gary Con.
Yes.
Their adult beverages are second nature at Gary Con.
Oh yeah.
So having to drive is generally not what you want to be stuck doing.
So so basically they had problems with badges, which is not, like I said, it's nothing new. They've had issues over the years. They're they're fairly proactive in dealing with it because they've had it happen so often now. I'll be honest with you. I mean, going forward, going to GaryCon, I would like to go next year. We'll see. I got offered a deal, Eric. I can go to either Founders and Legends or GaryCon next year.
Okay.
On Frog God's dime, I get to choose which one. So I'm not sure if I want to go to either because I would be driving and it's going to be in March and that's sketchy. But I'm not sure if I want. Gary Con's a big dog, but that Founders and Legend thing is kind of cool because it's only about 500 people. I mean, it's going to be very intimate and very cool.
Yeah.
So
and that's what that's the weekend before. It's 3 days.
Yes, the weekend before. And I'm going to give Luke a lot of props here. For years and years, people have been griping about the fact that, hey, you can only, what it boils down to is there's a limited amount of space there, and he's going to have to cap it off at, whatever, 3,000,
Right.
whatever it is now, because you just can't physically put more people in that town during that time. So this is kind of a solution. Like, hey, if you really want to, have a good time and meet all these guys, come in the week before. You don't necessarily now. You can still go to Gary Con also, but you don't have to now because you got to hang out with the guys. You got to sit there with Errol Otis without 2,500 other people messing with you. You can probably get to sit down with a lot of these guys face to face, just hang out with them. Which reminds me of another convention. I can't remember the name of it. What's that convention called? Oh, North Texas. Yeah. So it's going to be like their mini North Texas. It's going to be like 400 or 500 people, and you get to hang out with these guys.
Right.
And so it's going to scratch that itch for a lot of people. It's now the costs of it are kind of eye opening. If you want the kick ass package, it's $1,000. So they're definitely catering to a certain segment.
Now hold on a second. What kick ass aspect to?
Okay, so if you just want a ticket to go to Founders and Legends, it's $100, and I can't remember how many of those are available. But if you want the triple platinum, you get to sit on Errol Otis's lap and do this, that. It is $1,000.
Somebody performs fellatio for you. I mean,
I think Satine's not going to be there this year.
Oh, okay. I was just all right. Good. Thank you for clearing that up. I didn't want to.
That was too easy. That was a softball.
I didn't want to come home with a communicable disease.
But yes, it's for the nice package. There's $1,000. So it's a bit of it is for the upper class guy that really wants to spend some money and see these guys. And like I said, the more intimate area, we could probably, we'll probably have Luke on before the end of the year to talk about this a little bit and let us find out exactly what's going on with that. But I think that's a big part of it because a lot of people have started complaining the last few years because once Gary Con came back, it's jam-packed for her. It's absolutely jam-packed. Yeah. And it was the last year you and I went, Eric, in 2018. It was jam-packed.
But, Mike, let's be honest, okay? This isn't going to change the fact that Gary Con's going to be jam-packed. Now, it's going to be the 50th anniversary of D&D.
Oh, boy. Well, they're saying that's a big reason they're supposedly having this Founders and Legends also. It's a celebration. But I'm just going to speculate, and I don't know any inside information. I think this is a test run to see if they can do this because, look, more money is always better than less money, right? If you can have 400 people in there and get $1,000 a pop for a bunch of those people, hell yes. Why wouldn't you do that? Don't leave money on the floor like that, and then everybody gets to have a more intimate experience and gets to hang out with these guys.
Here, so I'm going to throw this out there. So, if you are going to Founders and Legends, right, more intimate, fine. I believe that's that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
So now you would leave, generally speaking, Monday, and you're going to come back Wednesday for GaryCon? Because most of these people who are going to Founders and Legends aren't going to pass and go into GaryCon. So these are the people who can afford to take a week and a half off from work, and spend the money that's going to require. You know, 10 days in a hotel. Uh, all right, your insurance company is paying
Well,
for you, Mike.
that's
That's
why I think
fine.
that's why I think it's either or. I don't or it's either. I don't think it's
I think
both.
personally, I think most people that are going to Founders and Legends are going to be going to both. That's my expectation. So this
Man,
is
that is a chunk of change, baby.
I could be wrong. You know, maybe we'll
Yeah.
find out if we do have Luke on later this year. We can
So
ask.
I'm looking at the guest list. They're gonna Luke's gonna be running some games. They're gonna have the Gax Pack there. They're gonna have a lot of the online presence there. A lot of the online guys that run games on YouTube and stuff. They've got those guys. They've got oh gosh, I'm looking here. Gax Packs, gaming design panel with Jeff Delaney and Luke Gygax and Stephen Radney McFarlane. Those are all good guys. Another Stephen Picorni is going to do something with Luke, and so I mean, it's a bunch of celebrities. There's a bunch of celebrity games. There is what it boils down to. It's and that's what you're going to be dealing.
But I'm going to guess that most of these celebrities are going to be at both.
So Founders and Legends used to be part of the main convention. They had this track called Founders and Legends, and it was, basically this is what it was. And so Luke and them decided, let's just spin this off to its own con. I mean, why have this part of the main convention when everybody's wanting us to do, this other thing? Let's go ahead and spin this off to its own con. And I cannot understand. So I'm looking right now. So if you buy, I'm sorry, I was wrong on the price. If you buy a Hero for the Realm, there's 24 of those. They're $2,000 a piece. That's 50 grand right off the pop. And then you have 400 people at $100 a piece, which is another $40,000. This is $100,000 cha-ching. And I don't begrudge them. I don't begrudge them a cent. I don't begrudge them 1 cent. If they can get people in there for that much, if North Texas could do it, we would do it. If we could run 24 people at $2,000 a pop, hell yes, we would do that.
Really? And you would do some personal favors for that, Mike?
I would run B1 in a Speedo. Yes, I would.
I don't know if I really want to be a participant in that, let alone.
Now you don't want to go suddenly. Like, I was trying to budget.
It's like, oh, geez, Mike, But I'm planning some appendicitis for next June.
Nobody's planning on spending $2,000 in North Texas, though, because we don't have the celebrity. So I'm not talking about just the guests. We have the special guests every year, and you know our special guest lineup. It's awesome. Yeah. But we don't have the celebrity power, and that's what this is. It's a lot of celebrity power because Luke's buddies are going to show up. I bet Joe Manganiello shows up. I bet Rage Against the Machine guy shows up. I bet Vince Vaughn shows up. This is a celebrity. These are the guys who are paying $2,000. These are the celebrities. And so that's what you're going to get in this. Conventions like North Texas, we don't have that kind of celebrity buzz or power. So that but like I said, I don't begrudge them a cent. If you can do that, do it. And I don't know if so at those costs, Eric, I don't think you're going to see. So the most you're going to see that go to both of them is 400. Because unless one of the guys pays $2,000, decides he wants to go next week, which I don't know why you would. You're already going to have a better experience.
If you're paying $2,000, likely money is not an issue for you.
That's true, but what are you going to get week 2 that you didn't get Founders and Legends? You're going to get what you need, which is hang out with the celebrity.
These are the people that are going to be, who got their diamond badges and are going to be gaming 3 to 4 sessions a day. When they're not gaming, they're going to be at the bar, getting inebriated, which is fine. That's what I like to go to conventions and get inebriated. So,
look, I mean, that's a great thing about a 400 person or 400 and something person convention. It's very intimate and we had that problem in 2018. People have had it the last few years. It's getting too crowded. You go to the bar at night, it's packed. It's absolutely jam packed. Where you're not having a wedding for Satine and Jameson, it's packed. And so. Yeah, I mean, they're going to like this a lot more in some ways because they're going to be able to hang out with these guys at night. I like to sit and talk to Jeff Delaney at night. He's awesome, But when we're doing the regular convention, we have to shout at the top of our lungs because it's so fucking noisy in there. Jeff and I are sitting next to each other, shouting in each other's ear because you can't hear. But yeah, if you only have 400 people, shoot, go down to the bar at night. It's probably an awesome experience.
Don, Mike, and I have tossed it out. Luke is very serious that he wants to stay in Lake Geneva.
He's very adamant. Last time we had him on, he reiterated that. Last time we had him
on. Again, I have no inside information, no inside track on this. But what happened with Gen Con? Gen Con made that move.
But see, Don, this makes moving unnecessary. If he can pull in $100,000, he doesn't have to. No, this is actually a way of keeping the con. And I'm speaking for Luke because I don't know, but to me, this seems like a way of keeping the con in Lake Geneva, because if it's a money issue, you just made the money. You just made $100,000 for a week by catering to the super fan. So now you don't have to move to Milwaukee, because you're going to have 2 weeks of fun in a row.
Well, I think if they went to Milwaukee, I think they could probably easily get 10, 12K the first year in Milwaukee.
I understand the thing about moving the convention, and we've talked about this, Eric and I, for years and years, is that you lose the complete flavor of the convention, which is this is a Gygax family reunion. Don't look at it any other way. It's not Gygax and a TSR family reunion, and you get to hang out and watch this family reunion happen. You're not part of the major festivities. I mean, they have a TSR only dinner like on Friday night or Thursday night. I mean, they do their own things together, and they have their own little boardroom meetings. But you get to hang out and be on the edges and get to see the Gygax family reunion.
But you don't get invited to the special parties.
Not really. Yeah. No, not really.
I've walked by.
Unless your name's John Peterson or one of those guys. No.
The special parties actually. I mean, I remember the one year I had a room on the same floor as the special party room, and there was a bouncer outside the door.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, there was.
So you commoners were not gonna, and folks, I'm a commoner. Trust me.
This podcast gives us no credit on the community.
No.
We're Bad Mike talking crit. Oh yeah, well, come on in, sir.
Come on in. Are you here to clean the bathroom?
What the fuck's talking crit? We've got 3,000 subscribers. Jenny D's got like 85,000. So they're laughing.
No, we're not toilet papering anything. It's a waste of good toilet.
We do not condone such. We do not condone this. And Joe, you're right. Yes, my buddy Joe.
Oh, dude, hands down. Now, don't get me wrong.
It's a different con. That's why the Game Hole and Gary Con. That's why we all do so good. Number one, we don't interfere with each other. One's in the spring, one's in the summer, one's in the fall. Great. So you're separated. Number two, they all serve different purposes. As we said, Gary Con is a Gygax family, TSR family reunion. Gamehole Con is a real regular con like you see with magic rooms, with magic card rooms. It's got all the things that a regular real convention has. North Texas is like a convention from 1982. And it's a bunch of your buddies. There's 500 people, and everybody shows up and has a good time. So we all serve a different purpose in the whatever, the timeline, the schedule. We all do different things well. And it just depends on what you like. I mean, I don't want to go to Gen Con ever again now because I don't like Gen Con anymore. There's some people that love Gen Con. They like walking there and seeing 50,000 people and this and that. I don't like that. So, and the same with conventions. Some people love Gamehole Con because they get to go and look, I can do this and I can play the Magic tournament over here, and it's in a big convention center and we're in Madison. There's stuff to do. Hey, I'm nothing against that. It's great. Some people like to go to Gary Con because, hey, we're in Lake Geneva. This is the home of D&D. Some people want to go to North Texas because, hey, it's very intimate. There's only 500 people. You get to hang out with all these guys. It's very laid back. You just choose what you like. Everybody chooses what they like.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Con. I'm a New Yorker. When I say and a classic New Yorker, I worked in Manhattan. I've taken the trains on a daily basis. Yada yada yada. Gary Con feels to me very much Manhattan-like, based upon the number of people and the amount of space. It's very crowded. It's very rushed where people are.
It's a finite amount of space.
Yeah.
There's nowhere. Or like if you go to a hotel or like Gamehole Con. Gamehole Con is in a convention center. There's still space there.
Yep.
They could get even bigger if they wanted to. North Texas, we don't use the whole hotel even at this point. And everybody commented last year we had more people than we ever had, and it was still didn't seem like there was that many people. Gary Con is very much reaching the limits of what it can stick inside that building. It's a finite amount.
And at Gary Con, you get the, like almost avoid eye contact because you don't have time to make eye contact and actually speak with somebody because you've got a destination to get to. So you're like avoiding it.
There's some long walks in Gary Con because the way it's built, it's not up, it's out. And you can walk, man, you will get in shape walking that thing. Wow.
Oh,
you
walk through the 5 buildings and everything is up. Now let's go down another 4 because, but, here's the thing, like North Texas, you're making, I'm sorry if you don't like to make eye contact, but you're probably making eye contact with everybody and giving a nod, saying hello. People are going to come by. Your second year, there'll be 100 people who will know you by sight and probably by name. And we'll make sure that they greet you. It is, Joe, it's a family reunion. Don't feel awkward at it because it's a very relaxed family reunion.
Well, Joe's been Joe's a veteran of North Texas.
Okay, now that I look at the picture, I'm not wearing my glasses, but I probably could be. All right,
Joe's a veteran. Joe's a veteran of North Texas. But I think he's talking about Gary Con. He'd be awkward. It's not really awkward. Just you get to watch it at a distance. You're like they have a table. Like at night, they all go sit at the table. There's a bunch of guy actors there. I mean, you're not going to walk up and plop down at the table because there's Alex and his family and Heidi and this and that. Like, hey, what's up? And they're going to say, who the fuck are you? I'm Bob from Minnesota. Oh, what are you doing at our table?
What about Bob? Goodbye.
Get on out of here. Yeah, roll on out of here, dude. Because then Margaret Weiss is sitting there and this. I mean, so but you get to hang out there and you're watching them all together, and then you get to do your own thing. I've had a great time after I've been to Gary Con. I've never had a bad time there. Yes, it's crowded, but it's not the kind of crowded that like Gen Con is, where you're just like, dear God, this is I can't handle this. And it's all gamers too. That's the good thing about Gary Con. It's a very gaming pure convention still. It's not a bunch of like the whole thing with Gen Con at this point has become what I call an entertainment con. It's like San Diego Comic Con or Dragon Con. It's this big giant entertainment con. I mean, they even moved the auction out of the main hall this year. It's in a hotel across the street. I mean, they want cosplayers, they want streamers, they want all this stuff. They don't gaming's okay. Yeah, you can game. But it's like San Diego Comic Con. It's not even about comics anymore. The comic guys are way off in a building, shoved in a hallway down, That's why the guy, Mile High Comics, Chuck, whatever, stopped going because they don't care about comics anymore. They stuck the comic dealers in a room like, 2 miles back because now it's about entertainment. It's about the movies, about the MCU, about Disney Plus, this and that. And that's what Gen Con is really pretty much become at this point. It's about the big giant retailers. It's about, spending a lot of money in the retailer hall. It's about all the guys dressed in costumes. It's just that's not necessarily
media. And now this is interesting. Now, they've premiered or like leaks or sneak peeks of movies at Gen Con in the past, and now with the writer's strike going on and the actors' strike, you got none of these people that are involved in these projects.
They're not allowed to. Yeah, they're not allowed to promote movies. That's a bummer for Gen Con this year. I tell you what this is a bummer for. San Diego Comic Con about a month. That's gonna be really interesting at San Diego Comic Con because all San Diego Comic Con is anymore is people pushing media, whether it be television or movies or whatever. That's going to be really interesting when they're not able to book all these guys. Oh, you can't book the cast or latest MCU anymore. Oh, you can't book this. I mean, this is going to be very interesting. You know what, Eric? They might have to talk about comics again. That's crazy.
No, heaven forbid.
They might have to have a few comic creators up there and some comic artists and stuff. shocking as it is, they may have to actually focus on comics for the first time in
Oh,
God knows how long.
SDCC has already happened.
Oh, it did? Oh, I thought it happened in it happens in July. I thought it happened in August. I'm sorry. Then it was probably okay. I didn't hear anything really come out of SDCC, so I don't know if I'm going to look it up now while we're talking. I didn't really hear anything come out of it. I guess it happened before the strike, right? Because if it happened after the strike, I didn't hear
it's
anything.
right in the cusp. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was. No, it was 2 weeks ago.
It was comic focus Comic Con, dude. Say that five
times. It was July 20th to July 23rd. Was the strike was on them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, they did have to. I bet they did have to talk about. I'm going to look at their lineup here and see how many people they had, how many comic things. Oh yes, it was very comic oriented. It was not. Yeah, I'm not seeing any big stars in any of the promotions or anything. It's all comic people. That's good though. Good for them. They finally got back to comics there. That's hilarious, man. Yep, it was all about comics this year.
All right, K5K, listen. If I could only go to one convention a year, it would be North Texas.
You better give that answer. Yeah, that's the right answer.
Yeah, listen, it is my home away from home. Now, I am trying. Like, Rich and I are probably not going to go to Game Hall this year, which means I'll be giving up my hotel room because, we got ChireCon, which is 2 days now, and we're looking at the Philadelphia
convention. Oh, Ron Meister's con in January. Yeah, that looks fun. That looks really fun.
We're thinking about that one. If we're going to do that one, then Game Hall is superfluous. And I don't have to.
Game Hall can get pricey too because the hotels are not cheap in Madison that time of year. So I try to make my reservations super early so I can.
And then TotalCon, can't miss.
Oh yeah, you got TotalCon in February too.
Yeah. So I think that Rach and I are probably going to limit ourselves in the future to flying to just one convention, because if you're only paying for the hotel, it becomes a lot easier when you're paying for the hotel and the flight. For two people,
sure.
You're like, ooh. So,
and you got to fly there. Whereas all those others up in the New England area, you can probably drive to a lot of those.
Drive to. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could drive to Snow.
That makes sense. I know the next couple of weeks I'll be going to Lone Star Game Expo, which is right up the street, so that's a drive to. And then Long Con's a drive to because it's 2 hours west of here. And actually, I'll be driving to. Game Hall anyway, but that's going to be our big trip. We haven't made a trip this year. It's going to be our big trip of the year.
Okay.
My wife and I are going up there, so we've saved our money and that stuff's already paid for. But that's our big trip is the Game Hall Con, which in the future, once my wife retires next year, and we start pinching our pennies, we probably will only be able to choose one con. And honestly, as much as I like Luke and Gary Con, we may just keep going to Game Hall Con. I really, really like Game Hall Con. I like what Alex does there, and I just, it's a nice big con, and Madison's a great city. Nothing against Gary Con at all. I mean, I like Gary Con too. It's just that if I had to choose, and that was my choice, I'd probably just choose that one because there's a lot more hotels. I mean, that's the thing. You go to Lake Geneva, and you've got the Lodge, or there's like 4 hotels in town, and that's it. I mean, you got to get one of those spots or an Airbnb. Or you're screwed. I mean, that's all you got.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to drive?
Whereas I was able to find a hotel in Madison about 15 minutes out of the city in another little city called Verona. I think it's Verona, and it's a cheap, dirt cheap hotel, and it was a brand new Hilton, and it's about 15 minutes. So I'll make that 15-minute drive into town. That's not bad. So there's still a chance I might stay in town. We'll see what happens.
K5K. I know you're coming from the land of the Kiwis, but you make.
Was he coming from Australia?
Yeah. No, New Zealand. So if you make that effort, you'll be drinking on me.
Here's a good thing about going to North Texas from New Zealand. You're going to fly into DFW, and it's a direct. It might be a direct flight even, or one stop in LA. If you go to the other cons, I'm not going to disparage them, but you're going to have to fly into Milwaukee. You might have to switch planes a couple of times. Milwaukee's not as big a hub as DFW is. And then when you get to Milwaukee, you're going to have to drive 30 minutes. Whereas when you go to North Texas, you get off the plane, you take a shuttle straight to the hotel, which is like 5 minutes away.
Tickets are available now if you go to North Texas or NTRPG.
Yeah. Tabletop events. We do have tickets available now. Eric, they're selling like hotcakes. Gary told me we've already sold 160 tickets, and we only sell 500, folks. So that's amazing.
I still have to get my tickets, but
Now we didn't get a chance to announce this week because I forgot, but the discount is over. You're paying full amount from here on out. So, but yeah, the first month we sold 160. That's a pretty good chunk. That's more than we've ever sold the first month. Way more than we've ever sold. So.
I'm looking forward to ShireCon. 6 weeks?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm gonna look. We're gonna put that. My wife and I put that on the schedule for when she retires. I promised Tom, if he ran it more than one day, I'd come. And guess what? He's gonna have it 2 days now.
So that of course means that Mike and his better half are gonna have to visit New York City. Just saying, if you're gonna go up. If you're going to go to Berkshires, you're going to have to come to New York City or at least the Poconos. We're going to have to make it work. We're going to have to
Well, Tom showed me a way to get there because I wasn't going to drive. He goes, oh, no, you can drive here. It's a 3-day drive. He showed me a way to get there driving. So I'm like, well, I could do that. But yeah, if you can rate it up at the Poconos, I want to go to the Poconos my whole life. I would meet you guys in the Poconos.
Definitely. All right.
I am so – I know this is dumb. Glenn and I are the same thing. I'm so into the history of the Poconos and just, what it was in the 40s and 50s and even farther back than that. I just think it's such an interesting area. I'd love to tour some of those places. And
yeah, well, in town there is a bed. I don't want to call it a bed and breakfast because it's a restaurant on the main floor, but they rent out the old hotel above. And it's supposedly haunted. Haunted. So it's like, what? Haunted?
So for those who don't know, the Poconos, that was the escape for the New York people, right? When they wanted to get out of town in the summer. They go there, and that's where they had Poconos, what they call it, the circuit. The what?
It was Poconos right into the Catskills. So that whole stretch.
And so all the Jewish, mainly the Jewish comedians, but other comedians, they would hone their acts there before they went to Vegas or New York or some of the big places. They would work these little resorts. And it just has this huge history of you had all these, Henny Youngman and all the early Jewish comedians would hit these little resorts. And you could see all these guys, all the guys that became famous, the Bob Hopes and the really big name, Jack Benny's, all those guys. They would work the whole circuit. Of course, it's a beautiful place, right? It's a resort. It's mountains and lakes and rivers, and it's just gorgeous there.
Yeah, it's just I love the Poconos. It's like literally a second home. I've been going up there since I was 2, 3. When my grandfather bought the place for $7,000 because it reminded him of the old country. The man didn't drive, so he took a bus from Port Authority.
Eric, I'm gonna have to sign inside out because you're roboting.
Okay.
I'm trying to get rid of the robot.
Let's check out.
I'll be right back.
The robot. This is called Hotel Internet. Dun dun dun. This is if we were professionals, we would chop this out for the playback later on, but we're not. We leave this in. It's always more fun, and more fun is more better, and more better is more fun. Man, what? It's the circle of life. Oh no, wait, that's the Lion King. All right, never mind. So did I mention I turned doing the math in my head 56 on Saturday. Sorry, Sunday. Oh, Mike is fully out. Let's see if he comes back. Professional. We try to be characters, not necessarily character actors, but just characters. All right, let's see. Mike is back. Mr. Robot, I can't hear you, Michael. Mr. Roboto, domo domo, domo domo. I cannot hear you, Michael. I do not have you muted on my end.
There we go. How's that?
There we go. Am I still Mr.
No, you're
Roboto?
fine now. That there must have been just some weird connect. This hotel does not have very good internet, folks. Sorry. Sorry to say, bad internet.
A little inside info: most hotels don't have good internet.
Well, it's because everybody's using it at the same time, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But so we were talking about the Poconos. Like I said, my grandfather grabbed the house, I think in 1969, 1970.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for $7K, man never drove. So you would take a bus from Port Authority, and theoretically the bus line ended in town, but we are just on the inner outskirts of town, up the hill. So he would pay the bus driver $5 to stop on Route 6, a block and a half from the house, so then he could get, just walk up. I don't know how he came back. I don't know if he I don't know if he organized.
Oh man,
special stop. But yeah, when I was younger, I took that bus a couple of times. In my
so we've been yammering on for about 45 minutes. We didn't really get to the topic of tonight's show.
Wait, we have a topic.
But we're ready to get there. Yeah, well, I tell you what I want to talk about, because some big news came down about AI and some of the major platforms out there. And I think this is an absolutely fascinating subject, because I think this is yet another. Well, first of all, go over what happened, and then we'll talk about how we feel about it. So what exactly happened this week in the realm of
well,
AI?
Actually, last week is when Drive-Thru added a simple paragraph to their AI policy, updating it to include AI writing, because as it is with Drive-Thru, you can use AI art, but you have to identify AI art. You can't have a product that is solely AI art. But AI writing right now is verboten. It is a pure, absolute no-no.
And by the way, I agree with that, because pure AI writing is garbage. AI cannot approximate human writing yet. And it's just people doing it are doing it for a quick buck. They want to put out an adventure, and so they feed in there, give me an orc village and kidnap maiden, yada yada, and it comes out and they just like push send, and that's their product. They don't edit it, they don't fiddle with it, and it clutters up. It's cluttering up the marketplace. I will agree with that. Absolutely.
When I do my newsletter, and I put it out, right now it's probably every 3 weeks or so. I usually include something that's AI generated, usually AI writing for magic items or for an adventure scene. But then I go in and I have to edit it to make it actually flow and not sound like it was written not by a non-English speaker, but by somebody who has some cognitive dissonance, because it just doesn't. You
can do it yourself. Go to ChatGPT and put in some stuff and look at it. There's just something off about it. And yes, if you can edit it and make it normal, because it'll give you some good ideas sometimes. It'll give you a good plot line for an adventure, or like Eric says, to create some magic items for you, or maybe even monsters. But it just doesn't. It hasn't yet that part where it's seamless, where you can just say, okay.
It's far from seamless, and you're going to find that if you like, I've asked it to write magic spells, and it'll write the same variation of the same damn spell like 3 times. It's like, okay, so you're just changing. I mean, I could do that too. I could turn scorching ray into, freezing flash or whatever. It's not really changing anything. Also, what I find interesting is that there are certain rule sets for gaming that AI, depending on what AI you're using, will recognize. It'll default to 5e, but some of them will recognize right for swords and wizardry. Doesn't recognize OSE yet. Is what I was trying. So, but even then, you got to double check to make sure it's really
Maybe
ready.
there's more material out there for it to scrape from when it comes,
Maybe,
because Swords and Wizardry's been out for what, 20 years now.
yeah.
So there's more material out there to scrape from. OSC's only been a couple of years, not enough material to scrape.
So now, um, that was on the 19th that they updated that policy, but nobody knew about it, right? They didn't announce that they updated that policy. They just kind of just dropped it there, and then I found out from Eric Fabrici, who mentioned it on one of my posts on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and then oh god, Dungeons and Dragons and Discourse. Sorry,
Dagger's Discourse, yeah.
she covered it, and
The Irish lass.
yes,
I think that accent's Irish. That accent.
or Scottish, who would have bloody
Something.
fuck knows. So now, um, then this week, Kickstarter dropped the news, but now Kickstarter dropped a fucking whammy with their news because they're kind of like, well, our policy will go into place exactly in 4 weeks. So that was announced yesterday, the 1st. So I guess that's August 29th. And pretty much once it's in place, uh, most AI is kind of like on the forbidden list. So it's interesting. Now, somebody, one of my friends on Discord was making observations, and I don't know if I can draw the same conclusions, but they do have an interesting uh, brief timeline, which I'm going to just mention it, and then we're just we're going to go in different directions and go deeper. But they're like, has anybody else ever noticed this trend? Wizard breaks news about the OGL drive-through was then contacted by Wizards to change their policies. And Kickstarter, we know that one, was contacted by Wizards to change their policies regarding the OGL, which then got withdrawn. But in any case, now news breaks about Hasbro outsourcing the
Yes.
development of AI for board games. And then Drive Through announces their policy, and Kickstarter announces a new policy. So it's and then we go into the weeds. All right,
Yeah.
that is these are facts. Then you can draw conclusions from these facts. Where you go on those might be different than the person that was supplying me with these ideas. Again, you might not draw the same conclusion, but it is interesting that AI becoming something that Hasbro plans to use now. And I missed this part, by the way. Roll 20 Roll 20, no AI art. AI art is forbidden
Wow.
on Roll 20. You cannot use AI art, which I'm wondering how that works with uh, products that were written to be published in PDF on drive through and then get ported over to Roll 20. I don't know. Remember, they're the same company. Drive through and
Yeah.
Roll 20 are the same company. And if you want to know who calls the shots, all the email addresses are now Roll 20. Just
Well, if you want to know who calls the ultimate shots, it's WOTC as the initials of that company.
yes.
So but yeah. So here's the issue. Well, can we move on to what my issue is?
Let's go to your issue.
All right. Number one, it's already really tough to tell AI art if somebody. So our friend Alice Ping is very good at touching up AI art. That's what she does.
Yep.
And you could touch it up to a point where it doesn't. You really can't tell AI art. I mean, you might be able to, but a lot of people nowadays. I mean, I know our buddy Jason Bronkowski. He draws on a pad. A lot of artists draw on pads nowadays. They don't draw with pen and ink anymore. So their stuff tends to look like it could look like AR, even though it's not. It's not AR at all, but it's been drawn. It's never actually had a pen to paper or pencil to paper. In about 2 or 3 years, I predict you're not going to be able to tell it apart. It's going to be indistinguishable because this AI learns, it gets better, and you're going to basically either be calling out people that may or may not actually be using AI art, and you may be making a lot of mistakes, and it's just gonna be a mess because you're going to have a whole department. All the department does is sit there and look at art and decide whether or not it's AI or not. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. It could be. Well, I mean, can you tell? I mean, I don't know. It's too good. The problem with the AI writing part is that they also want you to declare something is what they call AI inspired or AI prerequisite. Anyway, basically, I want to write an adventure. I want to write an adventure, and I say, okay, I need an adventure in Orc Village, kidnapped elf maiden. There's rust monsters outside, yada yada. So, ChatGPT writes me an adventure. I take that and I edit it up and change a few things and make it normal, and that's my adventure. They want you to say you did that. They want you to say, yeah, you need to say if something's AI inspired. Why on God's earth would I do that when you can't tell? There's no way to tell. If I plus, how can you tell where a human begins and AI ends, or vice versa? If you're taking an idea that was given to you and you're riffing off that idea, you're not writing it exactly the way it wrote. You're just saying, "Oh, that's a pretty cool idea. I'm going to use that idea." I don't know how you. I think this is going to be really tough to enforce, and I think a lot of this is WotC driven. I really think this is WotC driven. I don't think this is something they're just coming up with on their own.
And again, this is something that my friend in Discord was saying that they believe WotC's behind this. Now, let's take a peek a little bit at what's going on here. AI art, as Tom says, it's happening already. Legit artists are being accused of using AI art even when they can show the stages of the development of their art piece. Now, it's no secret when I tell folks that a good portion of my career in the NYPD was spent as a supervisor in internal affairs. Internal affairs had a phone line pretty much where you could call in and rat out your fellow officers. It's part of.
Well, I bet you had a lot of pissed off ex-wives that use that.
Oh my God! Oh my Mike! You don't know the half of it. A lot of they called the general number. They weren't getting the unrecorded line. The unrecorded line is what the cops called on. But if you were calling in a general line, it was recorded. And oh my God, some of that stuff.
That son of a bitch is going to leave me for that hooker. Well, I'm going to tell you how he made all his money last year.
Pretty much. And a lot of, but here's the thing. This is what they're expecting. When I say they, this is what Drive-Thru and Kickstarter are expecting you, the consumer, you, the third-party publisher who may be looking at your competitor's work. And now maybe you want to knock them down a peg or two.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna type out that email, type out that message, and I'm almost sure they're gonna give a way for you to do this anonymously, or if not, just use anonymous email.
Yeah.
But you're gonna be like, hey, Tenkar was using AI generated maps and art in his latest project. And I know it looks like Matt Jackson, not the Dyson's artwork, and I know it says Matt Jackson, but Matt Jackson never did that. So, that writing was so poor, it had to be AI. So, and you're going to they expect, because Kickstarter's already said, if you flag your project as AI, it's going to go through a special review process to see whether, again, the Kickstarter one is more cumbersome than the drive-through policy. They're going to go through it and try to figure out, because Kickstarter wants you to be doing projects, unique projects. Mm-hmm. It's not unique if it's AI, right? Yeah. It's not help. You're not doing a patronage. But if they're going to review this, they're either going to have to hire new people or they're going to have to rely on people ratting out others. And that is that really what we want in our industry, in our hobby? The idea that if you rat out somebody using AI writing and we confirm, we will give you a $10 credit. Is that really what you?
Drive through is going to give you $10. Yeah, we're giving $10 credit to drive through if you.
Is that what you want?
Yeah. Jeez.
I mean, is it could
be.
be.
This is just the inevitability of progress. They can't. So this is a horse carriage people griping about the new Model T, and that we're gonna create all these laws to keep Model Ts off the road. Because remember, they did that because Model Ts used to scare horses. So they said you couldn't go over 15 miles. You couldn't drive at certain hours, but they had all these rules when the cars started coming out because they had so many buggies on the road that they would scare the horses and they would honk. You're not allowed to honk your horn. I mean, they had all these laws that one by one slowly fell away as more and more cars filled the marketplace.
Yep.
And what you're going to have here is as AI gets better and better and less able to detect, you may have somebody have a lawsuit and say, look, Kickstarter denied my Kickstarter because they said it was AI written in art, and I can prove both of them are untrue. You're going to have issues where it eventually is going to get to the point where it's going to be undetectable, and you're not going to be able to say for certain, is this guy a bad writer or did he use AI? I don't know. He could just be a lousy writer, or he could use AI. Where's the proof? There's no proof of that. I know they have machines that can prove plagiarism but that's different. Proving plagiarism is proving that something, it follows the same pattern as something else in your files. Like basically like online, you can take somebody's thesis, and this happens all the time. People's theses get stolen. I say stolen because what they do is somebody can turn in a thesis I wrote years ago and change up a few words, and boom, they got a brand new thesis. They didn't do the work, and I'm sitting there going, "That's my thesis I wrote back in 1993," and they've just changed up a few words and references. You can detect that. There's ways to find that.
Right.
There won't necessarily be ways to find. I mean, how many different adventures are there in the universe? Oh my gosh, this guy wrote an adventure. It was an orc village, and they captured a maiden, and these guys rescued him. That's like 25 adventures out of Dungeon Magazine. I mean. What are you going to do? How are you going to prove that this is
only original presentation?
Yeah. The only thing you're going to be able to tell is if they took the exact wording or the wording so bad that it's obvious a human being didn't write it. And what will happen is people are just going to get better and better at disguising that. They're going to be able to disguise that to where, like I said, give me an AI, a Chat GPT adventure. I can take an afternoon, edit it where it doesn't look like Chat GPT wrote anymore. Right. Change the grammar, change the tense, change the wording, eliminate spurious sentences and stuff that doesn't make sense, and boom, I have an adventure there that Chat GPT helped me write. I just don't know how you're going to detect this after a while. I think it's hard enough to detect now, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know how you're going to do it. I mean, the art, you're figuring out, it's like, wow, when it's not an alien, but they got six fingers on one hand.
Right.
Or they got a third arm, or they got an eye that's sloped down a little bit, but it is going to get better. And here's the thing, folks: most people are not trained at spotting what's wrong in art, but everybody reads. So the writing is going to be what people are going to pick up on first until it gets a lot better. It's not quite there yet. It's getting there. But
once again, though, any human can take what's written by. Now, not any human can do art. Like you and I don't have the skill to do what Alice Pang does.
No.
But we have the skill to take something written by ChatGPT and make it sound like a human.
Certainly.
I mean, so that's, and how are they gonna catch that? Like I said, unless we volunteer that. Oh, by the way, this was written by ChatGPT and Eric and I edited it. If we don't say anything, how on earth would they ever know? They wouldn't know. There's no way they would know. It's be just an educated guess.
Well, and here's the thing too. When it comes to these AI writing programs, right? They are what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say prejudice, but they are predisposed to follow whatever they were directed to do as scraping is where they're going to pull it from. And I did an experiment early on a couple of months ago with AI, and I figured, let me just see how ChatGPT would handle something That and people are going to go, that's political. Yes, it was political because I wanted to see if ChatGPT was going to be able to be neutral.
Right.
And I asked it to write me a poem about former President Donald Trump uh,
Uh-oh.
touching a child, and it did. And it wrote me a little ditty about it. And then I said the same thing about President Joe Biden, and it was offended. And we cannot. I am not allowed. We do not write things like this. This is not appropriate for. But you just
Oh
wrote it
boy.
about Donald Trump. So now that becomes the question: is ChatGPT going to be geared to write certain types of adventures and
Because
not?
it's like any other program, only as good as the people programming it and what they want it to be programmed in there. They can do whatever they like, and so it's going to
Mhm.
depend on who wants to program, who is programming that into the system.
Now here comes the even bigger question: when, not if, when already we're getting to the point where these AI programs are going to be uh, it isn't going to be like, oh well, it's Google's AI or it's Facebook's AI. No, it's going to be I don't know, Watsy's AI or Joe Schmo. It's going to start moving
Mhm.
down that it's less expensive. You might even get to the point in the next couple of years where it's like, oh, open source AI here. Any programmer can write their own. And when you do that, you're going to have AI that is focused on certain things. And if you get
Sure.
one that is focused on writing RPG adventures, and trust me, it can just go in and take every adventure that's ever been written. They're all in PDF, right? And it's going to take
Hmm.
them all, and then it's going to start turning that huge database into new adventures using it as a focus hero. That is when you're not going to be able to tell the difference, and
Right.
that is going
Absolutely.
to be huge. And if you can get it to the point where it can draw maps that match the adventure, it's endless. Well,
Or how about we use the map programs that we have to draw a map, then ask Chat GP to do an adventure based around that map. Boom.
right. Well, you have to be able to visualize the map. You have to be able to upload that map as a prompt. But yeah, but listen, like we're looking at WotC, and I may say WotC Hasbro, but I looked at that Timaru, whatever the heck it was, that interface. It's buy it once, and then you just buy game accessories for it. So if you're getting the AI helper for your, I don't know, Hero Quest game, which I'm sure it will work fine for Hero
Sure.
Quest, why couldn't it work fine for a more boardified D&D, right?
Especially
And,
if you're there to tweak a couple of things here and there.
yeah, and then um, as an AI DM with the VTT, as long as the AI can replicate thinking out of the box, like, oh, can I climb this wall? And the AI doesn't have to go, oh yeah, sure, you can climb it at -20 to your climb roll. Then you know what? Then that's playing the impartial referee, right? That takes the game to a different level, not saying a better level. All right, because a lot of what is exciting and memorable about a game is what your GM brings in that isn't on the page, right? This is what the GM does. The room says, "Oh, it's a room full of rat feces," and the GM turns it into, but there's 2,000 coppers in this room with rat feces. Well, I'm gonna have to
Uh,
improvise on. The AI isn't going to do that.
yeah.
I don't think. That's
Or the AI is not going to be able to. Yeah, there's a lot of things the AI is not going to be able to do. So one of the great things about being a DM is to like you said, go with the flow. You never know what is going to happen next, and it's kind of fun when you cater it towards the group itself. Like you're in a dungeon and okay, so you find some dwarves that have been taken slaves by Durgar. Bob,
or meat grinder, your uncle is one of the dwarves, and you just threw that in there because you thought that'd be kind of a cool human interest thing. Is that's going to give him a little more oomph to wanting to kill the Durgar? Is his uncle is one of the guys in slavery? Well, they're not going to be able to think on their feet like that. The AI, whereas you're going to be able to do that, you're still going to have the advantage over the AI that you could throw in tidbits like that, and it's not going to be able to do that.
Right, but now there's one saying that I've heard over the years, and I disagree with it, and it's a bad campaign or a bad RPG session is better than no RPG session at all. I disagree with that. But there are people that believe that, and having an AI DM guarantees you at the very least a bad session, right? Maybe you get an average session. But even if you're at the type to like, well, we all got to play, even though it was as if it was being run by, an angry 12-year-old that wanted to TPK us. But still, we got to play.
Yeah, none of us wanted to be DM, and we all got to play. It was great because wasn't the best game of all time. But, a lot of times, I remember back in the past, I ran some really lame pre-written adventures. I never had time to write my own adventures. I'd always use pre-written stuff. I remember using some pre-written adventures. We had a blast with it because a lot of it depends on the players.
Right.
Yes, because all the plots are pretty much generic plot this, plot that. If your players approach it in a certain way, that's what makes it fun. It makes it exciting. It makes it interesting. Not the adventure itself. Sometimes the adventure is just the backdrop.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got your adventures are explore, rescue, this. I mean, you got to divide up into all certain things. And so in the long run, you can't create that many original type adventures. It depends on how so if you have a party of all dwarves, how does an all dwarf party approach the adventure against the goblins rather than a mixed party of humans and half elves, to say? I mean, that's where it leads to the most interesting thing. So yeah, even a bad Chat GPT adventure, if you're having a blast playing it because you're all playing weird characters or just doing something funny, that's what's going to be memorable, not the fact that it's a lame adventure.
I mean, I don't know. If you had asked me 2 years ago, would we be here having this discussion? I'd be like, fuck no. But technology, as we have seen in our lifetime, all right. I mean, I thought Pong will never get better than Pong. We'll never get better than a pet computer at junior high school.
Look how kick-ass Azure Bonds is, man. This is the ultimate D&D game. My God, this is so cool. Oh, wait, now we have Skyrim. Oh my God, and then we have VR Skyrim. I mean, it just gets better and better, and you're never at the top of your game. You're never going to be at the top of your game.
Well, I mean, Gold Box D&D was awesome. And then the original Baldur's Gate was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and that was a step 10 times up. And then you go from Baldur's Gate to Skyrim, and that's a step 100 times up. And then the next big thing that comes out will probably be 100 times better than that.
Well, you can do Baldur's Gate 3 and have sex with a bear.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to go off screen for a little bit because you just reminded me of that.
No, I don't want it. Oh, I don't want to.
Oh yeah, you big hairy grizzly bear. Oh
yeah.
Oh
you where bear you?
Here's some honey for you, baby. Oh yeah, lick the honey off. Lick the honey off, bear.
Druid was Russian, yes.
Oh, that's all it took.
And I rage. We're lucky it lasts that long.
Yeah, that's like twice as long as usual.
So
anyway, interesting. I think a lot of this, the stuff you sent me, Eric, I agree with. I think this is WotC driven. They don't like competition. They're trying to cut the competition out. They're unnecessarily complicating this, though. It's just trying to put your finger in the dike, man. And then there comes 5 more things over here. You're just not going to be able to stop it. You think you are, but you can't. Technology just advances, and it advances exponentially. I mean, I'm not talking about computers when we were kids. I mean, that's night and day. Just look at what computers could do 5 and 6 years ago compared to what they can do now. I mean, and that's almost anything. Well, look at the kind of games you can play online that you couldn't play 5 and 6 years ago.
Oh God.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So just imagine, 2 or 3 years from now, what the technology is going to look like for AI and just how hard that's going to be to detect and what it's going to be able to do.
The Varroa have their room and they have their tickets.
Okay, you got to show up this time, though. You told me that last year. You didn't show up. So I want to see you. You and Tom must show up.
You and Tom.
Or leave Tom at home and you just come, Tammy. That'd be awesome. We'd have a great time. We'd party. It'd be great.
Tom has to manage the YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's got things to do. He's busy. He's got to bust some more stories up about miserable human beings that we know. So,
come on! I love miserable human beings.
And speaking of miserable human beings, no, I'm just kidding. Our next story won't. It's not necessarily about miserable human beings, but it's kind of funny in some ways. So this week, Gary Gygax Day.
Which was the 27th or the 28th, something like that.
Oh, by the way, so we're going to talk about this AI stuff more and more. I think this is a really interesting, important thing, and Eric is covering it pretty good. And I think there's going to be a lot more that's going to come out of this during the year. And we would not mind having somebody on the show that we'll try to get Alice the next couple weeks. She's very plugged into the AI community, but I think this is going to be huge coming up. It really is.
Yep.
But I want to talk about, so Gary Gygax Day happened, and wonder of all wonders, finally, after 24 years or 14 years.
Well, let's see. Let's go back to the videotape. First year of the Gygax Memorial Fund was 2010.
Mm-hmm. So here we are, 2023. We finally get a memorial to Gary through the fund. Now, we already have one because Luke and his sisters put up a very well-known plaque there that most people that visit, they go up there, they put their dice there, they have pictures, they pose the pictures there. It's right by the lake. It's a very cool, just very low-key thing. So everybody knows about that. This is the first thing that the Gygax Fund, the memorial fund that was supposed to pay for a statue, the first thing that's actually happened because of that fund. And say what you want about Paul Stormberg. I don't agree with everything he does, but he actually got something done. And up to now, nothing had ever been done with this. Even if it's a plaque on a bench, it happened, okay?
Well, and it's a new bench. That was pointed out to me when they first installed this bench, and it was pointed out to me it looks exactly like the old bench, but little research was done by none other than Tabletop Taproom Tom.
Oh, nice,
and
Tom.
he made a few phone calls, and it was revealed that it looks like the same bench because it's a new bench of the same series, and that the old bench was going to be put into storage to replace another similar bench if it,
which the other bench is probably old and beat. It's probably old and beat up as benches will get. Yeah. Look, a new bench is great, and I am going to give Paul. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. That's awesome that you got this done. He's actually in charge of the fund now, from what I understand. But the problem is that this is still a Gail Gygax production run by Gail, which refuses to acknowledge any other Gygax except for Alex, her son with her and Gary.
Right, and he's mentioned as Gary's son, not one of Gary's children.
No,
our son of. It is Gary's son, so apparently there's only one.
If you didn't know there was a Gygax family, you would still not know it after reading this article, because nobody else is mentioned. Gary Kahn is not mentioned. The plaque that's already there is not mentioned. Pretty much, now you could say, well, this story was about the new stuff. It's not meant to be about anything else. Yeah, but I think journalists owe it to me and Eric and every other reader to at least throw out some facts. Like, hey, by the way, Gary Kahn, which happens every blah, blah, is whatever. It's run by the son Luke and whatever. don't make me read this article and assume that Alex is the only living son of Gary, because that's the impression I got from reading this. Among other things, there was a couple other things there too. I was like, it read very much like a press release. Did you think, Eric, more than a story?
Much more like a press release than an actual article written by whoever it was at the.
Which wouldn't surprise me, because honestly, this is probably a very small newspaper. Probably not a lot of employees. Print journalism is kind of dead. It might have been a press release that basically got turned into a story. That would not be beyond the realm of possibility in today's journalism. This is just how they do stuff. But yes, there was quite a bit left out and not really talked about. And like I said, you could say that, well, this is about the bench and not about anything else. But I still think journalists owe it to us to give us a little background and throw in a few different things too. And say, like Alex, one of Guy Gax's children, not Alex Gary's son. Like, okay, that's it. It was Alex, nobody else. And Alex is a good kid. I'm not saying bad about Alex. I'm just saying that I think this article did a disservice to the entire Guy Gax family by not look. Of all the events that happened in Lake Geneva, Gary Con brings in over 3,000 people during the winter months. This is a resort town that makes a lot of money during the spring, summer, and fall. Gary Con enables a lot of those businesses to fill up their restaurants and their hotels and their stores during months when usually nobody's there, because nobody. Eric and I have been there when it snowed like 5 feet. I mean, it's
oh my god,
it can be yucko in the winter. Nobody is driving up from Chicago to experience a resort in the winter. Now they're coming up to play in Gary Con because Gary Con is filling up the hotels in the city. So Eric and I got kind of the same feeling reading this. Like, there's a lot that's not included in here. This is very press releasey.
Yeah, it's kind of how can I say it? They talk about 200,000 has been raised for the memorial so far. About no, way more than 200,000.
We actually know how much.
I'd have to go through and break out my calculator and go year by year, but over the first 3 or 4 years, they'd already raised about $235,000.
Oh, yes.
It's now at about 195 because they haven't really raised much money since the reprint AD&D gold trim.
Right.
I'm afraid to ask what Mike is doing. It's like I gotta kill something.
I need some ice, man. Too much whiskey I drink.
Oh my! It's ice. I really thought it was like, gotta kill a bug, gotta kill a rat, gotta kill a mouse.
No, this is a nice hotel. No rats or bugs here. By the way, I think I've told you this, but my grandson's been staying with me off and on. He proposed his girlfriend this week, Eric.
Yeah, I saw that. That.
They're going to be married before he goes to Idaho, so he's going to get the advantage of a married housing, which is smart. That's why they did it before he left. So
good.
They get the extra budget in there. But we're having one last hurrah. He's been staying here at night. He comes in about 9:00, and we hang out. We watch YouTube videos. We talk about stuff. And it's been this has been some of the worst 3 weeks of my life. It's been some of the best 3 weeks too, because I'm getting to spend time with my grandson before he goes off and becomes a man and gets married and does all that stuff. So
wow,
it's been great. I've both loathed it because I can't be with my wife. I loathe that part, and I haven't been able to really hang out with her for 3 weeks. But I love it that I get to hang out with my grandson. So that's a little behind the curtain. We're pulling the curtain. But anyway, so yes, the funds are very well. They're very well. Eric has done quite a bit of work actually showing what the funds are.
I've been following this, folks, since 2015. And I remember getting phone calls. I was working midnights, getting phone calls on the way to work from members of our community that have some importance and influence, initially asking me to use kid gloves on Gail. And my response was, you do realize she already threatened to sue me. It's like, oh, well, all right, maybe not kids gloves, but just try to.
Well, my favorite was when um, you started investigating all these people that were on the committee, and turned
Oh,
out that pretty much none of them were actually on the committee. They were just a bunch of names they had somehow
well,
thrown up there.
no, well, not. Listen, these were people that. Well, yeah, I helped put together part of the website. I am not the programmer and webmaster. I think everybody had titles. One person was like, "Yeah, I made a few phone calls to help raise some money. I am not the you know head fundraiser." I mean, there were so many titles. So when I started talking to people, and then I started questioning Gail, the list of some 40 odd people became, I don't
Including
know.
Jim Ward, if I remember right. Jim Ward was on there, and he didn't recall
Well, no,
why he.
Jim. I think Jim was back. That was back when I understand they weren't having meetings. They were
Ah,
not
okay.
profit. So he was kind of like on the board. We don't want your opinion, but
You're on the board to lend credence to this project. Yeah.
so the problem early on with the Gygax Memorial Fund, in my opinion, is that it was Gail's sister, and Gail's brother-in-law, her sister's
Yeah.
husband.
Who was a lawyer too, by the way.
Yeah, that's your board.
Yeah.
That's your board. Now, I was told from somebody who has knowledge of financial stuff that Butterbur or Buttercup, the whatchamacallit, what do you call it? The people that do the money things, the accountant that
Yeah.
the fund had, was legit. All right, I was told that he was legit, but there were a lot of for a fund that says it was supposed to be an educational thing, and by the way, it's been saying this for the last 13 years, but there's going to be a scholarship. You've got money. There's never been a scholarship. I mean, I'm sure the tavern could probably do $1,000 a year scholarship with the monies I get from drive-through. If you didn't mind getting money for your scholarship, you can only buy D&D books.
Well, I remember that. Yeah, they ran a big story in the paper once, years and years ago, about how Gail and her sister were going around to schools. And they said how much, Gary was really into educating kids. No, he wasn't. He didn't finish school. We know you know that, right? I mean, he never finished. He never got his degree. He never got a high school degree. Didn't finish school. So he was not into education. He did, and he would spend his time reading and hanging out at Lake Geneva. So they had this big long thing where they were going to make all these learning type games to honor Gary, and nothing ever came of it. And no schools never got this. This never happened. And it was just, but it was the worst part of it was nothing that Gary would have ever done or cared about.
Right.
And they acted like, oh, this is a big thing that Gary always talked about. I doubt that. I doubt that he ever talked about it or cared about it, because he didn't finish school himself, and look what a success he became. I mean, it's hard to tell people like, yeah, don't do what I do, man. What I did, I became a millionaire, but don't do that, man. Do something else. Don't become a millionaire doing what I did.
Yeah, don't follow in my footsteps. Follow
No.
in somebody else's.
Oh boy.
So that's what's going on with that. Again, like Mike said, Paul has certainly put some wheels beneath this. There's been movement. Is this article 100% accurate? There are omissions, and
Oh yeah.
I think it's mostly by omission. I don't think there's anything that's
There's no. We read it over. There's no outright lies in this at all.
no.
But it reads funny, and it reads press releasey, and it's not really a journalistic type story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my main problem with it. Like intimating that, Alex is the only kid here of Gary, and no mention at all of Luke or the sisters. Which is obvious, because I mean, Luke and the sisters have a feud going on with Gail right now. They're talking about the will. I mean, there's stuff. So yeah, they're not going to sit there and pat him on the back and praise him and say, hey, this, they do some great work too. No, of course they're not going to do that. But it doesn't read very journalistically by leaving that out. It makes it seem very, very
No,
much like this, just a press release they were handed.
But I can almost guarantee you, part of the deal was, well, if they're going to do an article, they can't mention Luke or Ernie or
Sure.
They can't mention Gary.
This is about us. This is something we're doing. We're doing the bench. We don't want them mentioned. Which I understand that. If you say, "Hey, look, this is our deal. This is us doing the bench. This is not Luke and the sisters are doing, and Ernie are doing their own stuff. We did the bench." Okay, I guess I can understand that. But still, doesn't journalistic practices? I mean, should you? I don't know. I guess I expect them to be a little more honest about stuff and be a little more down the road, But I can understand it, like you said, Eric. Maybe they were told, "Hey, don't mention this. This is about us."
Well, I'm just letting Tammy see who wrote the article. Dennis Hines, D. Hines at LakeGenevaNews.net. So now, here's the thing. With this pile of crap, with the will in dispute, and from my eyes, it looks like if it was going to stay and the girls, this is about the Gygax revocable trust. This is where the IP lays. This is where the trademarks lay, such as it is Gygax, the trademark. That is under the Gygax revocable trust.
Yes.
Now, the revocable trust is where if there's any monies that can be used and benefit the family, that's where the money is. Okay? So if Gail's going to lose the trust, which it likely is going to happen, then she is going to control the fund and not let anybody else from that family, except for her blood, Alex, have any influence or any credit for it or any of that stuff.
So explain once again, Eric, what's the difference between the two funds we're talking about here?
Okay, well, one's a fund. One is a nonprofit. The Gygax Memorial Fund is a nonprofit, which at one point was going to make a statue that was done by the guy who did the Fonzie statue.
Oh, boy.
All right. And the Gygax Revocable Trust is what Gary put all of his collection under. It's where he put his unpublished works under. It put his copyrights and his trademarks under. Now, what I was told years ago is that the inheritor of the trust, if Gail were to pass, would not have been Alex. It would have been her sister.
That was mentioned, yes.
All right.
Her sister and brother-in-law, who have never had anything to do with D&D. No. It'd be out of Gygax's hands. It'd be out of the Gygax hands.
I know. Gail says that her sister played so much D&D with Gary, it was amazing, or something to that effect.
But basically, it would not be under the control of the Gygax.
It would not be under, at least with Alex. So now that is literally what this will is a battle over. And I actually did look recently at the update, and I can hold on.
And by the way, this is why when you talk to a kid now that plays D&D, they have no clue who Gary Gygax is, because one of the first things that Gail did was consolidate the Gygax name by canceling every single thing published under Gary's name, which included all the legendary adventure journey stuff, Castle's a Gig, all that stuff. All of it was pulled. And nothing has been republished or reprinted under his name since. So we have now over a decade when nothing by Gary, not the Gord books, not the Castle's a Gig, not his last RPG, Dangerous Journey, none of that stuff has ever been published because she was told to grab all that and hold on to it and not let anybody have it. Well, guess what? Nobody has it now. And nobody knows who the F Gary Gygax is anymore because his name has fallen out of and this is one of the reasons why she got in trouble with Hollywood producers who were interested in producing things based on the Gygax name and were told that, oh, guess what? You really can't use anything. Well, here's a contract you signed.
All right. This is not word for word. This is my interpretation of what happened. DeSanto, who actually pinged me one time on Facebook to thank
Yes.
me about the
You're big time. He's a big time Hollywood producer, man.
he really is.
Mm-hmm.
DeSanto was looking to produce properties on a streaming service or in the theater, but most likely streaming service, using Gary's intellectual property. And who is one that walks around Hollywood as almost as if he belongs there? Luke, right? Luke has some friends in the industry out there. By the way, I just put the link to the Wisconsin Circuit Court for the case for the will. Look at it yourself. It's linked. So, DeSanto was serious, but he also knew that if he was going to sell this in Hollywood, he would need a face man.
Right.
And the face man was Luke. Luke would be the one that would have to go with him to meetings. Luke would have to be the one that would
Sure.
help him with the pitch. And being Gary's son and a military man at the time would have been an awesome pitch. My understanding, and you know what? Don't the quote might not be an exact quote, but my understanding was when Gail was told this, her response was, "There's no fucking way
No.
Luke is going to be involved in this."
She
or
wants
make
none
it
of the Gygax siblings except her son Alex, and even then they've been on the outs before. Her and
Right.
Alex have been on the outs. But so yeah, she wants nothing to do with the Gygax family.
Elle, I can tell you all about Gygax magazine after this.
Oh,
So,
boy.
what happened after that? Now, I had been told by an unidentified party that there was a will that had never been filed. Well,
Yep.
and I had been told that a year or two prior to
Yep.
this incident with Gail. Well, when this proposal of getting Gary's work out there fell apart, it fell apart because DeSanto heard about this will. It's possible he even saw the will, and upon seeing the will, said, "I can't make a deal with someone that I can't say for sure owns the property." The deal fell apart, and then the will got filed after. It's a 2000 case. So now here's the thing: they were working on no will prior to this, because the belief was that, again, this is what I've been told by third parties and such. The belief was that the value of Gary's IP and his personal collection was under 50,000, and they weren't going to scramble and fight over 50,000. But once it became clear that we've already mentioned, Paul Stolberg was going to be auctioning off Gary's collection.
And he has. He's auctioned off a lot of stuff, and the first couple auctions got more than 50 grand. So yeah, they figured out real quick that whoa, this estate's worth way more than 50,000.
So now, Elle, you're mentioning Gygax magazine. All right. So here, let me explain to you. But by the way, this was part of the legal threat that I got, because I called it a lawsuit, and I was told it wasn't a lawsuit; it was a legal action. So,
how dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare I? Had I still, when these PMs from Gail back in the day, when she was Gail, I always felt I was dealing with Gail. When she was Mrs. E. Gary Gygax, I felt I was dealing with the sister or the brother-in-law. So here's what happened with the Gygax magazine. Gail took personal offense that she was not consulted or asked, and my understanding is you cannot actually take a name and trademark it, but she trademarked Gygax. The idea was Gygax magazine, the second iteration of TSR, had Luke and Ernie, two original Gygaxes, Gary's offspring, on the board as members of the company, They should be able to use their own last name on their product. But no. Now, there was a legal action. There was a legal dispute over the trademark. Both sides spent in excess of six figures. That means both sides spent in excess of 100,000. In the end, it never went to trial. In the end, it was a negotiated settlement. The negotiated settlement had the following restrictions placed on any who agreed to it on the side of TSR. If you agreed to the stipulations in the negotiated settlement, you could never, in public or private, on any medium, written, spoken, text messages,
No
podcast,
disparaging at all.
non-disparaging agreement. You can never say anything negative about Gail. If you did, you'd be in violation of the agreement and subject to financial penalties. So, a large number of people involved in this project, including Luke, Ernie, Tim Kask, and others, all went, you know what? Fuck you.
Nope.
We're not going
to sign this.
Not going to sign this. So, because of the negotiated settlement, they were not able to participate in TSR or Gygax magazine. And a Gygax magazine without Gygaxes is nothing.
By the way, some people did sign that, or abided by that because they did not want to lose what little they held, what very little they held.
So,
but yeah, Luke and Ernie were like, no, can't do. Which that's to their credit, I think, and Tim also. You know, they're not going to let somebody dictate to them what they can say and not say. It's ridiculous.
What they couldn't use their last name in business. In other words, they couldn't use their last name as a product. That she was saying as a product, if your last name was, I don't know, Coke, you could still sign your last name on legal documents. You just because your last name was Coke, you can't have my Coke restaurant.
Right.
There's so, I mean, that was a negotiated settlement. So there was no ruling on it. It was negotiated, and it was negotiated because it was costing lots of money.
Yeah.
So shit ain't cheap.
And it sucks because I would Gygax magazine was no groundbreaking publication, but it was fine. It was a nice little magazine. They had some really good insert. Yeah, it was really nice.
It was worth it for the covers alone.
But this is one of the reasons why Gail and the family do not get along. This is one of the reasons. And I'll say, when Gary Con first started, Gail used to show up and she'd come there and hang out and talk to people. And then this is one of the things that drove a rift between the both sides of the family, was the fact that the stepmother, the second wife, started imposing all these onerous things on there and took all his stuff out of print. And then, oh, do you remember this one, Eric? She started her own convention the same time as Gary Con, Shades of Voldemort. Remember, she wanted to do a convention in town in a bookstore the same weekend as Gary Con. That just never came off. Nothing ever came of that.
What a surprise!
Well, because she was mad that Gary Con took all the attention and didn't invite her anymore. Well, they're not going to invite the lady that tried to sue or did a legal action. Sorry. They're not going to invite that person to Gary Con anymore and say, come on down. Oh, it's all forgiven. You cost us $100,000, but you know what? Just come on down and hang out. So no, that's not, so it's been a long, torturous saga. And Paul's helping her out right now. Paul got exclusive rights to auction off the Gygax collection. And, Paul's not a bad guy at all. It's just that this is his bread and butter. He makes a lot of money off these auctions. Most auctioneer fees are 20%, 25%. So if an auction gets $50,000, Paul does really well. I mean, I just had an auction last week where I auctioned about $1,000 off, and I didn't get all. I got $200, so I'm doing it all wrong. I need to start get some more high quality stuff. But so yeah, you get a percentage of it, and if Gygax auctions are doing well, then Paul's doing well. So yes, he has thrown. So basically, you have these two camps. You've got the Gale, and then you got I guess we'll call one the Gale camp and one the Luke camp, and they disagree on stuff.
Oh yeah, when WotC pulled all their PDFs from drive-through with 12 hours notice.
Stupid.
And also you.
By the way, I owned a lot of those too. That really pissed me off because I was one of the initial buyers of a lot of WotC PDFs. That really pissed me off.
They should have refunded monies on that, but they didn't.
Well, luckily I had them all on a hard drive, but still, that was pissy.
Yeah. So, well, Mike, look at that. No guest, and we're already at an hour and 40. Could you believe it? I can't.
Yeah, I've been eating my Chick-fil-A sandwich because my sugars are getting low. So, I love listening to the sound of your voice, Eric. I just drifted off.
Well, what can I tell you, man? Talking about sugars, hold on.
So next few weeks we're going to have our buddy Ben Burns is going to pop on in a couple weeks to talk about his Kickstarter. Tom Wilson's going to pop on to talk about ShireCon. Tom's always a great guest. And by the way, Tom and I have a project that we're working on. I got Tom excited about it, and so this is looking good. It's going to be fun. Well, I'll wait to talk about it when Tom comes on, but it's going to be some cool stuff, man.
Nice.
And then we'll hopefully have the CBCS guy on next month. I'm really interested in the collectible market, what's going to go on with it in the next year. A lot of parallels to what's going on with AI, and that people don't like it and hate it, and how dare you stick a module in a plastic slab and stick a grate on it. They're meant to be played, damn it. In my day, we played the modules. We spilled pizza on them and Diet Coke and
wrote in pencil. And, you wrote in pencil on the inside to knock off the hip.
I did all the time. I wrote them all. Yeah. So So yes, that's going to be talked about because I think that's going to be a real big issue. Like I said, along with the AI, it's one of those things I think it's inevitable. They said the same thing about comic slabbing when that came out. How dare you put a comic in a plastic slab? I can't flip through my Spider-Man #1 and look at it and get pizza stains and greasy fingerprints on it. How dare you, sir? And so that same thing is going on with games now. And now people are going to be upset about the fact that I put my Dragon magazine #1, which, by the way, was in beautiful shape. The guy was like oohing and ahhing over it as he looked at it. It may be a 9.0 or higher.
Wow.
They're going to rate it. So it's and the thing about slabbing, for those who don't know, they do cards now. They do Magic cards. They start with baseball cards. They started doing game cards like Pokemon and Magic cards. They just had, if you saw a really interesting article about the guy that found the One Ring card, he sold to Post Malone for $2 million. Just some dude pulled it out of a pack. There was only one. It was in the latest Magic pack, and there was one, and it was the One Ring card. He pulled it out, and so he got a nice $2 million, but it's in a nice little plastic thing. I mean, you're not going to pull that out and put it in your pocket. It's in a plastic thing that it's going to be locked up because you don't want to put dings in it. Well, the same thing, they're going to start doing that with D&D modules. If you have a nice, beautiful, let's say you have a near mint S1 Tomb of Horrors, you're going to want to put it in a plastic slab, and that way when you drop it on the ground, you're not going to bend the corners or tear it up. And so anyway, we're going to have Brian on. We're going to talk about that because I think it's just a very interesting subject. And that's not till next month. And then hopefully we'll have Crystal on next month, Crystal Mazur, who's in the gaming industry. She'll have been back from – oh, you know who I talked to this week too?
Who?
I reached out to our buddy Kinsey about Shadow Dark because Shadow Dark should start shipping pretty soon. Well, I want her to come on after Shadow Dark shipped. So we'll see. I've got a message in for her. I know she's going to Gen Con this week, so she's probably really busy. She didn't answer me. Yeah, she blew me off. But no, she's really busy this week. But I told her to let me know when she gets back from Gen Con, and we'll talk about it because I want to hear about how Gen Con went for her. I want to know what we're going to expect from the Shadow Dark is coming out. The physical stuff is going to be coming out. I think in August is when it's supposed to come out. So
yeah,
pretty close to the date when the actual Shadow Dark book should come out. And I'm hearing a lot of Shadow Dark buzz lately too. So people are really, I mean, it's a cool system. I finally read the books and I was really impressed by it. I think it's a great little system.
It's very OSRs with just enough
Very much
to make it a little bit different. I gotta say, we had a lot of fun running it and playing it. So
it's a 5e system, but this is what I thought was so cool. And Greg Christopher tuned me in on this to begin with. You don't need to know 5e to run it, which is really cool.
No, you don't.
You do not need to ever know what 5e is or have ever run 5e to do it, and which I think that's brilliant too. So you're using a lot of 5e isms, but you're acting like it's your own little system. So
yep,
that's very cool. Anyway, so hopefully we'll get Kinsey to get back to me, and we can get Kinsey back on after Shadow Dark, the physical stuff starts coming out. So we've got plans, man. These are the dog days of August. It's hard to find people to come on because they're all at Gen Con or they're dying of the heat, the 106, 108 degree heat, or whatever. They're not able to come on right now, but we're gonna find some people.
We'll make it like.
By the way, how hot is it up there? We had 106 today.
Oh no, today was beautiful too, like 81, 82.
Oh.
To walk the dog at the park without her feet roasting off.
Oh my gosh.
Asphalt.
We had 108 degrees yesterday. Today was a relatively mild 106. I think tomorrow it's going to drop all the way down to 104.
Wow.
It's my poor yard. I've been trying to keep it alive, but I can't waste money on watering anymore. I'm just going to have to let it die. I've been trying to water the hell out of it. It's just not working out, man. I just can't keep it alive. It's just too damn hot during the day.
So Sunday was my birthday, so we had a small barbecue.
Oh yeah, happy birthday! That's right.
7 altogether, and we had a great time. Great weather. Hung out in the backyard into the evening. So then, when we wrapped up, we realized that my friends had brought a high-end steak, burgers, and hot dogs from a butcher. So it's like, well, we didn't have a chance to cook that stuff. So I go, well, and listen, instead of doing our Monday night pub crawl, let's just do it here. We have the alcohol still.
Oh, hell yes.
We got the food. Might as well. It's what we did. So we had 2 nights hanging out, annoying my neighbors. So that was fun.
So you got the cops called on you a few times. You said, no, I'm a cop. Don't call the cops. I'm still a cop.
Fuck yeah. I'm not really a cop anymore. I'm retired. And I was in town.
Here's my FOP.
You probably want to fuck me over anyway, so you know what? We'll be quiet.
Don't be messing with me. I'll get you in trouble. I know all those guys. Is that what you try to pull on them? You try to pull one of those?
No. So
we're gonna make as much noise as we want. We're gonna make noise all night long.
Yeah. Folks, next live stream is this Friday. I guess it's is this the return of? No, that was Return of Glenn. It's the Return of Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn comes back again. Well, Glenn came back again. This is the return and the return of the double return. Yes.
But if you like your Glenn, you better show up for this one because in 2 weeks from Friday, there will not be a live stream because I will be in Manhattan. We got tickets to Jimmy Dore is going to be in Manhattan doing.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And they had tickets for the 10 o'clock show for the special meet and greet. I was like, oh man, for $75 a head, we'll do the meet and greet. Come on, Rach, what do you think?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not?
Make the wife happy.
Yeah. So that I know I don't miss too many live streams unless I'm at like a convention or something like that. But this is one we're gonna have to miss.
All right. Don't miss. You better not miss no Talking Crit, brother.
Dude, have we ever missed a Talking Crit?
No, we have not. That's why I'm saying I've done Talking Crits from Gamehole Con. So you better. I don't care if you're Jimmy Dore or
Mike, I'm in the audience here. Nothing happens on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is the perfect night.
Oh, good deal.
Talking Crit, So, folks, a huge thank you to my once a week work spouse, Bad Mike Battleotto.
Yes, a great time.
If you haven't gotten your tickets yet for North Texas, I haven't. I have to get them. Other than that, as usual, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. Tomorrow night, if you're on the Discord server, 9 p.m., we have a hangout.
Yes, check that out, and check out Friday Night with Glenn. I always like Glenn and Eric.
Glenn is always a good one.
Yep.
No, it's not a Taylor Swift concert.
First of all, he couldn't afford a Taylor Swift concert.
No.
Oh my God!
I had to sell a testicle for that one and probably give away the other one because I was going to Taylor Swift. No. Last December, we went to go see Steven Crowder. So I got to keep my comedy balanced. So now we're going to go see Jimmy Dore. I got to see a little right, a little left, a little right, a little left. It keeps you focused.
Mm-hmm.
I love my comedians. All right, folks. On that
later,
note,
everyone. Thank you so much, and please subscribe. Are we still trying to break 3,000?
Yeah, we're still trying to break 3,000.
Come on, people.
We're at I don't know what the hell.
Put us over the top. Come on, we're tired of this.
Hold on, I'll tell you. We're at 2,978.
Have your mom and dad sign up. Get us over. Get us to 3. Get us to that 3 mark.
Sign up with those 3 alt accounts that you use to harass people.
Use all your alt accounts. Let's do it because we hit a lull here. We need to get past this lull. We need to get over 3,000.
Get over 3,000. We'll be back.
We don't want to have to create a controversy. We'll create a controversy if we have to get people to go to watch the show.
Tenkar.
We'll figure something.
Better shirtless or shirted? Shirted.
Is it true that Tenkar is creating the new OGL on WotC? I mean, I don't know. We could throw that out there and see what happens.
Toggle. I'm the Tenkar OGL. Toggle.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Jesus. All right, folks. On that note.
Goodbye. Later. Gone. Chick-fil-A.